What's up, you guys? This is Rob from the Gay Guy Plays, and today on Dress to Kill, we're going to be taking a look at Saryn's new Napellus skin, which is available via Tenogen. Now, as always, I'm going to be providing you guys a couple different looks. We'll be talking about some tips and tricks as to how I like to color her. We'll talk about what armors I think suit her well. We'll swap out some helmets, swap out some skins, and go ahead and toggle off and on the Prime detailing so you guys can see exactly what you're working with. Alrighty, now before we jump on in, I did want to make a little bit of a note slash tips and tricks slash behind the scenes section for you guys. And that's mainly because of the fact that you're going to see a recurring theme occur with the rest of the looks that I've actually put together. Now what you're seeing on the screen right now is not actually what I'm gonna put my name on. As you guys know, I'm very particular with my aesthetic, and I'm not gonna say it's a bad look because I did spend some time, you know, customizing it and trying to make it look as good as possible. However, one of the things that you will note is that the secondary on this specific look is very light. That's not something that you're going to see with the rest of the looks that are coming up, because I've actually found that the secondary, it just looks the best as the darkest tone. Now, for those of you guys who don't really quite know why that's a big deal, one of the things that I really like doing is that when I map out these episodes, I actually like to swap out where the darkest and the lightest tones are. I like to kind of mix up where the accents are and see exactly where that lands us. So I do have a little bit of a theme, and it feels kind of recurring. So I wanted to show you guys that if you did want to customize it with the lightest tone as the secondary, you're going to get something that looks a little bit like this. Now, of course, I'm not going to say that this is a bad look. It's just not necessarily my aesthetic. And as you guys know, I have a very particular aesthetic. You know, I want to make things look a specific way. And not that this is a bad look in any way, shape, or form. It's just not necessarily my favorite. I feel kind of like bad because I was like, I really wanted to make something work where I could show off like a light secondary. This is what it looks like with a light secondary. And while I don't think that this looks bad, I just, you know, do have to say that I didn't feel like this was my aesthetic. However, I did want to demonstrate to you guys that it could be done, and if this is something that you enjoy, definitely go out for it. You know, that's the greatest thing about Fashion Frame. You know, you can customize things to however you like. Just me particularly, my own taste says that I like the secondary on this particular skin to be the darkest of the whole bunch. So that's exactly what you're going to see, and I hope you like it. So without ado, let's get dressed. Okay, so I've definitely said it before, but there are just certain Warframes that scream out to be used with very specific colors. Don't exactly know what it is, but for some reason, Saryn has always drawn me to use some variation of violet on her. It just always feels like it fits, and when I actually went ahead and looked it up, I think it's because of the fact that there is definitely some correlation between Saryn, the venomous vixen, and Nightshade, which is a poisonous plant. We're talking about spores, we're talking about toxins, we're talking about viruses. I was like, it just definitely fit. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, Nightshade can bear fruits, and there are a certain category of vegetables called Nightshade vegetables. One of big note is actually known as the aubergine, or the eggplant, which is definitely one of my favorite emojis out there. Let me just say that right now. Now, all of those have this purplish tone, and I was like, oh my god, that's what it is. It's in my subconscious. Saryn is like the living embodiment of Nightshade, and so I kind of got this feeling of like toxic warrior queen, and that's exactly what the inspiration for this look is. Now, I did have to lean a little bit warmer for the look than I really wanted to, and that's mainly because of the fact that our balanced violets, the colors that are available to us in the palettes, they look fine in the palettes, but when you actually go ahead and put them on the Warframes themselves, they look very bright, almost like too bright for me to use, because you guys know I like some muted tones. Now, of course, we do have some cooler violets, some blue violets, but for some reason it just didn't jive with this look as much. So as you can see, the primary and the tertiary really pull from like the red violet area, and if we're gonna be real, the tertiary is kind of like a soft pink. But I felt like it influenced it quite well. Now, the secondary, I did cool it down with just a little bit, and I actually pulled in some periwinkle for the energy color just to kind of like balance everything out a little bit. Now, as you can see, I've actually gone ahead and tossed on the Atavist armor, which I think really complements the look quite well, mainly because of the fact that its shape is very like rounded, very dome-like, kind of like, you know what I'm, like some of Saryn's greatest assets that are up front and center. But of course, she also has the cool swoopy helmet, so I feel like it just all jives well together and definitely feeds into this like warrior toxic queen vibe. I'm like a big fan, and I wanted to do something a little bit darker too, just because, I don't know, she just feels like she could really kick some ass in this look. Now, speaking about inspiration, this is definitely a very different look than I would normally put on any Warframe. I'm gonna be honest with you, green isn't necessarily a color that I have as my go-to. As y'all know, I love warm shades, and even in this case, I'm kind of using a warmer green to go with it, but there has always been a part of me that has been like, let's make Saryn a fucking snake. Just because she's got like the toxin influence, and I'm really big on it. So that's actually what I went ahead and did, is I tried to find a nice creamy like greenish color combo that wasn't too bright or neon green. It's kind of like one of the issues that I was running in with the violets, as I had spoken with earlier. I didn't want to go too over the top with the green, so I wanted something a little bit more subtle. I went ahead and pulled together the secondary with a nice chocolate brown and kind of made the armor pieces a little bit more subtle. Now, one thing that I did want to make note is the attachments that I placed on her are the halter set. Love it. However, the halter chest did not sit well on her because of, her breasticles. But one of the things that I did want to note on this is that Saryn works so well with so many different armor pieces. One of my favorites is actually the Syrinx on her. I feel like we were talking about Warrior Queen earlier. I definitely feel like that is something that you can use, and it blends in quite well with the skin itself. It's got a little bit of metal in there, and it's got some squiggly bits that match those gradiated squiggly bits, so I think that that's definitely a great match for you guys to play around with. Another good match for it is the Nindis. I never know how to pronounce it. Ninda? See, I'm putting in different letters, but I love that, and I love the fact that it's got a little bit of a ribbon going down there. The great thing about it is it doesn't have any issues with being placed on the thighs, kind of like the Syrinx did. For the Syrinx, just use the shoulders and the chest bit, because you can. With the Ninda, I would use the shoulders and the leg, but not the chest, because it doesn't fit quite well. The Edo armor fits well with it too, whether it's prime or not prime. I actually used to run the Edo armor a lot, the non-prime Edo armor a lot on many of the Saren skins that I had done. Of course, the Avia works quite well as well, but those are going to be definitely my go-tos because I'm quite fond of it. However, I do have to say that the halter works pretty well, and one of the things that I always kind of express about the halter that I think is absolutely fantastic is if you have a skin that you almost feel has too much detail on it, the halter will almost create these blocks of color to kind of say, let's reel you back in just a little bit. Regardless, I'm really fond of this one because I feel like it's a successful variation of a Viper, right? It's not too crazy out there, and we've got some really cool greens that is not necessarily something that you usually dip into. And last but definitely not least, now as you can see, the two previous color schemes that were actually on my Saryn and not my Saren Prime. This is the customization on my Saren Prime, and when I say Saryn is a queen, this is my look for her to be fucking royalty, because legitimately there was something about this skin initially where I was like, I don't need another Saryn skin, but I don't know what it is, but it feels so freaking ridiculously epic. So I figured I would go ahead and do kind of like a prime variant of it, and as I was working through it, I just felt like you are a goddamn goddess. And that's exactly the feeling that I got on the skin. By the way, Rhoda Syandana, not a Syandana that I see like enough people rocking. It's a great Syandana that's not over the top. It doesn't drag on the floor. It's not one of the ridiculously over the top done ones. It's just a great piece that sits well on the back of many frames. Definitely check it out. By the way, and we're also using the Prisma Neighbor set, which I'm like, if we gonna do crazy like Viper, this is almost like flying air Leviathan dragon, like toxic dragon kind of thing. Like, listen, Chroma, you be careful, because this Saren skin is coming for you. This is the new toxic dragon, and she's making it look real good. Again, there's the violet that I've always been drawn to from Saryn, and I just wanted to go ahead and splash in that rose gold, and I was like, listen, you're like halfway there. We got violet, we got rose gold. Let's just go ahead and get some creaminess from the Orokin in there, and we'll just call it a done day. This one was probably the easiest to customize, and I feel like it embodies the most regal manner. Like the first one, we had Saryn getting down and dirty with her like Nightshade inspired skin. Then we had like the Viper. Now this one is just, she's just Dragon Queen. She's just toxic Viper Dragon Queen. What are you gonna do? This is the look that I think I'm gonna be carrying into my Saryn. However, you guys have now been able to take a look at all of the individual ones. Let me know which one you think deserves a spot on my Saren Prime, because this is where I'm at right now. Let me know which one you would choose to put on your Saren Prime instead. Alrighty, now before we go, let's go ahead and take a look at how each of these different helmets kind of sit on her. Now, as you can see here, we've got the Saren Prime helmet, which I actually do not mind on her whatsoever. My only issue with it is the fact that the faceplate doesn't take the secondary color, so it has a little bit of a hard time meshing. However, for those of you guys out there who are determined to use this one, I'm sure you can customize your way around it. You guys are smart. The Arcane Chlora helmet works really well too. I'm a fan of this one, except for the fact that the tertiary is not metallic, so you get like a weird matted section off of this. But she got the big earrings in this one, so I don't know if I could really hate it. Hemlock's okay, not my fan. Saren Grax just does not go with it. Standard Saren helmet, it's not my fan. You know, the Integra is nice, but I do have to say that, you know, the textures are not even remotely the same. Orphid just looks crazy on it. I mean, you do you, but it's not my favorite. And that pretty much does it for that. However, let's go ahead and take a look at how the helmet works with, you know, just the standard Saren Prime skin, which I'm not a fan of. There's like a whole lot of clipping that happens with it, so that's not absolutely fantastic. The Grax skin, not the greatest. Integra skin, not the textures are just completely off, so I'm gonna say no. Orphid skin, the whole thing is completely off. We're gonna pretend that doesn't exist. The standard Saren skin just looks crazy with it because there's no metallics to come along with it. And then we have the Immortal skin, which is just, I mean, it's got the Prime detailings on it. In fact, let's go ahead and do that real quick. I will warn you, it doesn't look good, so don't get too excited. But personally, I would not be using it. And as you can see, one of the big things that you'll notice is the shoulder piece is just so massive that it clips through the bangs of the actual helmet. So I don't really feel like it jives, and the boobs are just like ridiculously shiny for it. So I'm gonna stick to it at its base set. But at least now you know exactly what you've got on the table. So that about does it for this review. Let me know exactly which of the looks were your favorites. Which one do you think deserves a spot in my Saren Prime section? Is it, you know, the Queen Dragon herself? Or do you think Nightshade does it too? Or maybe you like the Viper? I don't know. Go ahead and tell me what you like. Or maybe you're a big fan of the first look that we went over, which used the light on the secondary. And also let me know, are there certain colors that you just associate with specific Warframes and you find it hard not to customize with that color? Tell me all about that in the comment section below, and that about does it for now. So as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.